not another word was spoken. Not due to our lips touching, but a sort of erotic rigor mortis. We never kissed, and the season soon came to a close.
And we're back with Danielle K. Grégoire, who was just on stage at the Bill Brown Slam as a feature with Rusty Prisk. That is 2/3 of the Copper Conundrum, who are having their debut at the Ottawa Fringe Festival next week. So Danielle, how did you come up with the name Copper Conundrum?
I was looking for alliteration, and we all have red hair.
Perfect.
And yeah, and it's the idea that redheads, when you're little, you're made fun of all the time. I mean, witches were burned for having red hair and all this stuff, right? And then all of a sudden you get to a certain age and it's like, wow, you've red hair, you're so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And you're used to being like the little ugly redheaded child, or the crazy redhead, or the angry redhead, or the sexually attractive redhead. But yeah, so yeah. Copper Conundrum.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. So what do you have planned for the Fringe Festival show with your two comrades?
We have spent the last few weeks putting together poems that we've written separately and making them team pieces. So we're going to be using like multiple voices, kind of like choral reading, but less Greek style, more slam poetry style. So
you and Rusty were working on a poem together, one that you wrote about I'm Scared Too.
I'm Scared Too, yeah. It actually, that poem I wrote for the 29th annual Take Back the Night March.
That's right.
In Ottawa. And then Rusty, I guess, wrote this piece about how he was walking behind a woman, which is what my piece is based on, me walking behind a woman and scaring the life out of her because she doesn't know who's behind her, right? And so he thought, wow, our pieces are really similar, we should put them together, and they worked really well, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, it's very smart. It's great.
He leaves one pedal, waiting for a reason to start at a different place. Someone who can find her way past his iron-wrought gates threaded through with barbed wire and chain link. Students, teenagers, poets. One after another stepping up to roll out their words.
What got you into spoken word poetry, and why is it important to you?
It's important to me because it allows people who generally don't have a voice to speak up. I teach, so a lot of the kids don't ever have a chance to say the things that they actually want to say because they're constantly told what to do. And as a teacher, yes, I do tell them what to do, right? I say, write some slam poetry, but what do you want to say?
There you
go. It's hard because, everything is so fast, and the nice thing about slam poetry is that you have 3 minutes in which you can say what you want, so it's not like 10 pages of angsty poetry.
You condense your thoughts.
You condense your thoughts. You say what you need to say in 3 minutes, and it's good.
But don't get me wrong, this was a love affair fit for Jane Eyre. It was as bittersweet as a Granny Smith and as tender as a bruise 3 days in.
I was in Vancouver, and I was just living there. Went to this little place called the Crushed Champagne Lounge and managed to see Shane Koizan, who was featured at the Olympic ceremonies this year.
Yes.
And I saw him and I thought, man, this man changed my life. And
that's the first poet you saw?
The first spoken word poet I saw. And it was just like, he just came in to just off the street just to kind of like hang out. Yeah, and I said, wow, besides the fact that I want to sleep with this man now, a poet, well, I think I could do this myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you have a new CD.
I do.
Somewhat new CD came out last year.
Yeah, I'm just in a second reprint.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, that's Optimism is a Constant Struggle.
Yeah.
And what do you talk about in that album?
It's an interesting album because it's like raw footage of poems that I did over the course of 4 years at Capital Slam. So when I first started out, and it's kind of the evolution of my poetry, and you find that the themes come up all the time. It's like connection and community and all the things that I see that are wrong, but the fact that complaining about it's not going to help, that we need to do something about it, which is why I became a teacher, right? Because I want to be inside the system changing it and not just on the outside saying, why aren't things going right? You know, I want to be part of making legions of people who can think for themselves.
And going to shows lately, I've noticed you've had a lot of your students come and perform themselves and share their own work. How does that feel, seeing them on stage like that?
I would rather not be on stage, truly. The only reason I go on stage is because I feel like Shane, that if I go on stage and people see just a regular human being doing that I'm not, putting on airs, I'm just me, I'm on stage, I'm saying things that I think are important, so can you.
Exactly.
That's why I do it, and so I'm incredibly proud of these girls, especially the girls from the Speaking for Ourselves program, which Making Ottawa Safer Together, they hired me and they said, teach these girls poetry, which you can't really do. You can't teach poetry. You can say, here's some techniques, and then if they decide to use their voices, then it works out.
If they call you weird, tell them thank you, because normal is boring and you don't need their approval. 11-year-old boy from Kamsack, prepubescent genius, had me swooning, but also engaging in conversations about art. He was an aspiring someone who wants to draw for a living, and I wanted to sing. I remember the time I got up the courage to make my move. I suggested we take a break at the wooden bench, equivalent of Lover's Lane, and I said, no word of a lie. Would you mind if I make a pass at you? He said, no, of course not.
So why don't you tell us about the Copper Conundrum, when they're playing and where?
The Copper Conundrum is Monday and Tuesday of the Fringe week. So it's the 21st and 22nd, and it starts at 9:15 p.m. and it's at the Laurier Oak.
That's right. So
the Royal Oak.
70 Laurier.
Yes, 70 Laurier downstairs. Come join us. It's what? I don't know how much money it is.
It's $10.
It's $10.
It's
if you don't have $10, you come in anyway.
Yeah, seriously, we'll let you in.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's a poetry
Don't tell
show.
the Fringe that.
No, you never
But all the money goes straight to the performers, so.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't pay me and you want to see a poetry show,
we want to include everyone.
Exactly.
That's right.